is Tad Carlson. I am on Team Millennium and Team Plastic Addicts, and today I just figured I'd show you what's in my bag. So let's get to it. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start with putters. So first off, my putting putters that I use, I have these Factory Second DX Glow AVRs. These have been my go-to putters for quite a while now. I usually stick with one set for each season, so I've got two for this season that I've been using. They're starting to get a little beat in, so maybe I'll switch early this season, but I do like kind of just the nice straight long glide of the DX Glow AVRs here. So these are my putting putters. I also have one DX AVR that I use for throwing. This one is very beat up. I think it was a 172 when I first got it, but this thing has seen some days, seen a lot of trees, seen a lot of rounds of disc golf. This is definitely my understable throwing putter. I love to just kind of hit this on a little bit of hyzer, let it stand up and start to drift right, or if I need kind of a really long turning backhand, I like throwing this flat and just kind of letting it coast right. So this is one of my go-to throwing putters. And my other go-to throwing putter is this DT Omega. This is a 1.4 Omega. It's relatively new, so it's still got a little stability on it, so I can throw it flat, and it'll pretty much go straight for a while with a slight finish at the end, or I can throw it on hyzer and just keep it on hyzer. That's another way I like to use this disc, but this is my last putter that I have in my bag. Alright, so let's go on to approach discs, and really I only have one approach disc besides the putters that I throw, and that is this Recon Mortar. I got this earlier this year when I first got sponsored by Millennium. This was the first mortar that I got, and honestly, I really love it. It's got kind of the like Jolly Launcher type feel, kind of a softer feel, so that it kind of catches the ground a little bit better, but I love this thing for forehands. That's if I pull this out, 99% of the time I'm going to throw a forehand with it. It's just such a nice, controllable, overstable forehand approach disc, and so that's really my only approach disc besides the putters that I throw. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and move on to mid-ranges. I have three mid-ranges that I throw. First off, I have two Auroras. One of them is a standard Aurora. This is a 180 Aurora, and this is my long-range, glidey, understable mid. I can throw this flat and with really probably like 70% power and just get it to go straight for a really long time. This has definitely actually changed how I throw my mid-ranges once I put this in the bag. Being able to go to just a lot more of a controlled shot versus trying to throw a putter hard really has helped change my game quite a bit. So I really strongly recommend picking up a standard Aurora if you're looking for that type of a shot. This is a great disc for that. The other Aurora I have is a QMS, Quantum Aurora MS, and this one is a 1.8 run. It's got kind of a tiny micro bead at the bottom, which is a little different for QMSs, but I like it because it just kind of gives it just a touch more reliability, in my opinion. It just kind of feels more reliable. So for this one, it's really kind of my straight disc that'll just have a slight finish at the end. I can throw it pretty hard even, and just kind of hold its straight flight with a slight finish. I sometimes will use this also if there's a left to right wind and I want it to go straight. Just a little hyzer flip, let the wind carry it just a touch, and then have it fade back to the middle. So this is another great one. I occasionally also use this for forehand approach shots. I can get it pretty straight for a decent distance, so it's a good complement with my mortar if I'm kind of just needing a lot more straight of a flight than that mortar. I'll reach for this QMS. And then my last mid-range that I have in my bag is actually a very old Sentinel. This one was from 2007, as you can see on the really worn out stamp. And normally the Sentinel is super overstable. This one is still pretty overstable, but it just goes forward more than the other ones that I've tried, which I really like. It pairs really well with my QMS, because my QMS just pretty much goes straight. This one, it goes straight for a while with a pretty hard finish at the end. So I really like this for mid-range hyzer shots. This is what I'm usually reaching for. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and move on to my fairway drivers. And I actually bag quite a few fairway drivers, so we'll go ahead and work through that. We'll start with the kind of slower fairway driver, the 6 to 7 speed. First off, what I have here is I have a standard JLS. This one, I like it because it's a little bit softer than the Sirius plastic is, in my opinion. So I really like reaching for this, and it's just such a great hyzer flip bomb shot. I can really hit it on a good hyzer, let it stand up, and just carry for a really long time. So this is one of my favorite discs to use in the woods. Alrighty, so I pair the JLS with a Champion T-Bird, and this T-Bird I am a big fan of. I don't know exactly what run this was, but whatever run this was, it's a pretty overstable run. I've had this for quite a while and have used this disc for quite a while, and I can still throw this pretty hard and flat, and it'll go straight for a while before it finishes pretty strongly to the left. So I think it pairs really well with the JLS. The JLS I can hit hyzer flip lines with. This one's my straight to overstable complement to that. And that's the last one that I have for the slower like fairway drivers, the 6 to 7 speeds. Now if we move on to the kind of 8, 9, 10 speed range. First off, I have here, courtesy of my good friend Wilbur Wallace, he gave me this one. This is an Orion LF, but it is very understable. So this is my long-range hyzer flip 9-speed disc. I can really give this some power on a big hyzer line and just watch it stand up and just carry right. And so this is a really nice one to have for me when I'm playing in a wooded course. So I really like having this one. A similar disc, but one that I use a lot differently actually, is this Star Roadrunner. I got this Roadrunner because I was looking for something that I could consistently roll, and this fit the job pretty nicely. So I usually only reach for this as a roller shot. Occasionally, if I'm in the woods and I want just a tick more stability than that OLF that I had just a moment ago, then I'll throw this Roadrunner because it won't quite finish as hard right on a backhand turnover line. But usually what I'm doing with this is I'm going as my go-to roller disc, putting it down on backhand rollers. I like to throw rollers where it's a little bit on anhyzer out of the hand, and then it kind of, the disc carries itself over and rolls that way. So this is my go-to roller disc. My next fairway driver that I have is this Champion Valkyrie. I actually put this in the bag recently because I lost a Sidewinder, a Champion Sidewinder, that filled kind of the same role. What I'm really looking for in this position is just a disc that I can hit flat and carry straight for a really long time, maybe with a little slight anhyzer, and this disc goes pretty well with that. I can throw it flat and hard, and it'll just kind of keep going straight, maybe turn a little bit, and then finish just a little bit to the left. So I'm a big fan of throwing this one for that. I'll also go with this one for a straight forehand. Usually if I'm trying to hit a gap, that's when I'll reach for that shot and just kind of hit just a nice long straight forehand with very little left to right movement in the shot. Next up, I have a much newer Orion LF right here. This one is my go-to, throw it hard and flat, let it go straight for a while with a pretty good fade at the end. I like this one because it's kind of a step up in stability from that Valkyrie that I was just showing you. So I pretty much exclusively throw this one backhand, but occasionally if I'm looking for kind of a little bit more finish than that Valkyrie, I might reach for it forehand as well. But this is just such a reliable disc. I can put a lot of power on this one. This is Sirius plastic. Sorry, I forgot to mention that, but it really can take power pretty well and give me some good distance out of that. So that's my Orion LF. And then my last fairway driver that I have is a Calvin Heimberg 1.3 Quantum Draco. This one is a relatively newer addition to my bag. First off, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a lot of like swirl color in this, which is really pretty. It's also very flat. I don't know if you can see that, but it is really flat, and so it fits my hand really well for forehand. So that's primarily what I use it for. I'll occasionally throw a backhand if I really know that I want it to go left or I'm throwing into a strong headwind. But usually what I'm wanting when I'm reaching for this is just a overstable forehand shot. And that's primarily what I use it for. Alright, and last up, let's go on and move to the distance drivers. And distance drivers, I have 5 distance drivers in my bag currently. My most understable distance driver is this Star Shrike. This is a 172 Star Shrike. And this is my just really long turnover shot, slash if I'm going for really max distance, give it height, give it a little ante, and just kind of let it go. That's usually what I'm reaching for. I don't pull out that shot very much during tournaments, but if you see me grab this, I'm either wanting a big flip off of a hyzer, or I'm looking for max distance. For my more commonly used distance driver shots, this is definitely the one that I'll reach for most often in a tournament play, and that is this Sirius Scorpius. This is the 173 to 175 range, and this thing is just my controlled bomber. Give it a little bit of hyzer, hit it hard, and just kind of let it turn over a little bit, and then fade pretty good back at the end. This is usually what I'm reaching for if I have my choice off of the tee on a long par 4 or par 5. This is usually what I'm reaching for. I'll also sometimes use this forehand if I'm looking for kind of a bit of a turning shot and then fading back at the end. This is usually what I'll use for that, kind of give it a nice little hyzer flip shot for that. So that's what I use this Scorpius for. This is probably my favorite disc, honestly, in this bag. This is just a lot of fun to throw. I pair that one with 2 other Scorpiuses. I'll talk about this one first. This is a Greg Barsby Sirius Scorpius. Again, 173 to 175. This is the 1.11 run of the Scorpius. And this one is just super domey. It's got a bit of a heartbeat to it, and that just gives me confidence when I'm throwing backhand. It pairs really well with that Sirius Scorpius that I have, because this one I can throw hard and flat, and it's not going to turn very much at all unless there's a left to right wind or a headwind. Mostly, if I throw it hard and flat, it'll go straight for a really long time before it fades off to the left, which is why I really like pairing this with that Sirius one as kind of a complement to it if I need just a little bit more stability. This one, however, the only thing is I don't actually throw this forehand very often. For me, whenever I have a really domey disc, I always have trouble getting a clean release on a forehand. So what I use for forehand when I'm wanting to throw that type of shot, hard and flat with a good finish, is I'll use this yellow Sirius Scorpius. This is a 172, so it's a teeny bit lighter than my other ones. It's also a 1.3 run of that. And this one I just really like because for forehand it's pretty flat. I can get a really clean, crisp release on it, and it'll kind of hold the angle that I put it on. So if I'm going for hyzer forehand, it'll hold the hyzer line. If I put it on a little anhyzer, it'll hold that. If I'm going for straight with a good finish at the end, that's what this will do. So this is a really nice disc for forehands for me. If I want a little more overstability than that Eco Sirius one, I'll use this for forehands. I very rarely ever throw this backhand. Usually if I'm just wanting it to kind of go up and down on a big hyzer, that might be when I reach for this, just because it's so flat, it doesn't glide very much. But usually this is my forehand Scorpius. And then my last disc that I have is a Sirius Quasar from the 1.5 run. And this is just my beef. If I'm looking for something that is not going to turn whatsoever, no matter what wind I have, this is the disc that I am going to reach for. The interesting thing about this disc is the plastic is a little different. It's kind of almost like an eraser. It feels like it's a little more rubbery, a little more gummy, so I can get really good grip on this. So I actually like throwing this like in the rain or in the cold. I can throw this pretty well also, but it's just not going to turn. So if I'm looking for a big hyzer, forehand or backhand, that's when I'm going to be reaching for this one. So that is all of the discs that I throw in my bag. Looking at just a couple other things I have in my bag. So first off, I have a towel. Always good to have a towel lying around. I actually have a few more in my bag. I'm not going to get those out, but I have those as well. Additionally, I have a couple sport sacks. These are Plastic Addicts sport sacks. These are the non-chalky ones. These are the ones with the beads inside of them. I much prefer the ones with the beads because they don't leave any residue on my finger. For some reason, I just never liked the feeling of having a chalk feel on my fingers when I'm throwing. So these ones are great because they dry your hand really well without leaving any sort of residue. So this is the one that I usually use. I have well used this. This has seen a lot of storms throughout our time together. If I lost this one, I'd be sad. But yeah, this is my go-to one. And then I have a backup just in case, because you never know if you do just forget it on tee and you need it. Additionally, in here, I have a couple minis. So my main mini that I use is this Innova Swirly Mini. Just tradition. I've used this for about 2 years now. Really like that one. But I also have a Plastic Addicts one that's pretty. That's mostly the reason I have it. Just in case I lose this one, I have another pretty mini in my bag in case I need it. So always good to have at least two. Other than that, though, I have a couple Sharpies. Always good to have those in case you need to mark a disc. And then I have some pencils, and that is about it for in my bag. So, thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to try and get some more content onto the channel coming up. So if you're interested in seeing that, please subscribe to the channel below. And other than that, have a great day, stay safe, and if you can, throw some discs. See ya.